Hi there, welcome back to Ryan Family Farm. My name is Kathy. I'm so glad you're here today. We are going to plant some seeds. It's the end of February. It's time to get our hands in the dirt. What we're going to do is we are going to sterilize this potting soil with boiling hot water, and it serves as two purposes. We're going to kill any gnats that are in there, and we're going to have pre-moistened potting soil. So we're working with wet potting soil for our seeds. And it's as simple as that. We're just going to stir it around just like you were doing a brownie mix. There we go. Now we're going to let that cool before we put our seeds in it, because the seeds will not like that hot water. But we're going to get our vessels ready, and the first thing we're going to plant are some peppers. At this time of year, we are in garden zone 8B, and peppers take a little while to start. So while these are red roasting Advarsky peppers, you can plant your banana peppers, your green bell peppers, your shishitos, your poblanos, your habaneros, any kind of pepper plant. They like to get a little bit of a healthy start. So we're going to plant these today. Now we're going to start them right into a solo cup. It's just a cup. And we're going to poke a hole in the bottom of it for drainage with an ice pick. And you hope you don't pierce yourself. Okay. And then I'm going to take a marker and put Advarsky on here. Advarsky pepper. Now, you can use starter trays and pallets and all that good fancy stuff. I'm just showing you options other than having to buy extra stuff. Now, I will put this cup, because it has a hole in the bottom, I will put it in a tray, like an old cookie tray. And that way, when the water runs through it and runs out of it, it won't end up on the floor. Now, if you don't want to use a solo cup and you want to transplant a few times, you can use, oh my goodness, an egg carton. Now this, you can cut these apart and plant these right in your garden. This egg carton will break down. You don't need to transplant, except the plant is going to outgrow this. But it's an option for you. Then other options would be yogurt cups, any kind of recycling vehicle that you can stick a hole in for drainage. And then we just get to planting. We start. Pepper seeds are kind of small and they are slow to germinate, but we want to get them started. Those aren't that small, especially compared to a kale seed or a radish seed. These are quite large, and we get several cups ready. I'm just doing one for today, and we fill it up with dirt, nice pre-moistened dirt. Stick that in there. And these, you only want to go down a smidgen because they're so tiny. So go down maybe even 1/8 of an inch. Barely cover it, actually. And then just cover it up with a little bit of dirt. I'll use my finger. There you go. And that one's ready. Now, it will start to sprout. This is what's so great about these. It sprouts in 7 to 10 days. Now, once it sprouts, then it needs to be, if you have a south-facing window or any window, it needs light. If you don't have a greenhouse. I don't, and so it will go on my south-facing window table, and there it will live now. Literally for 8 weeks. End of February, yeah, end of April before I would put these out in my zone. maybe even middle of May, most likely middle of May. So 10 weeks. It's a long growing season, but I like to get them big. That's why I put them in a big cup. I only put in 1 seed. You can put in 2, and then choose the stronger of the 2 if you so desire. And then get them into the ground. You absolutely want to know your last chance of frost, which for us here is right around tax day. So anytime after tax day, the pepper plants are good to go outside in the soil. If it's above 50 degrees, you don't want to put them in cold soil. They love heat, so don't rush it. I would baby them inside before I would put them outside. So that's peppers. Now, in 2 more weeks, middle of March, we will start tomatoes in the same exact fashion. I, again, go right to the solo cup. A lot of folks do a smaller start and then they transplant. I have done that. It's a lot of work and exhausting, but it's so fun and feels so good. So do whatever is best for you. And that's on both peppers and tomatoes. You can also start indoors end of March, because most of your planting will happen the end of May. No, excuse me, end of April, middle of May. Where we are at the foot of Mount Hood, and we are forecasted to have some snow tonight. So we're pretty cold up here. Anyway, but you can also start some cucumbers, some zucchini. That would all be in the end of March time frame. The other thing we're going to plant today, because it has such a long growing season, are Luffa gourds. Now, Luffa gourds literally need at least 9 months. So this is not too early for them. And the difference I'm going to do with the Luffa gourds is I'm going to start them in a paper cup. So I'm going to puncture the hole for drainage in the paper cup. And the reason we're going to use paper cups for Luffa gourds is they do not like to be transplanted at all. And so if I cannot get these, the root system out of this cup, I can actually plant this cup right into the garden. Otherwise, I'm hoping to just kind of tear it away from the dirt itself without too much shock. Luffa gourds are probably the hardest thing I have ever grown. And I am just so determined to be successful this year. So I'm going to start with a used paper cup. It has been cleaned. You want everything to be sterile and clean. So your solo cup, if it's old, which I do reuse mine, just make sure it's washed in hot water. You can run it through a dishwasher. You don't need to, but you need it to be clean. You don't want your dirt to go into a dirty vessel. So anyway, the Luffa, here we go. We've got that cup ready to go. And Luffa is a fascinating vegetable to grow. I call it a vegetable. You can eat this in its early stages. It's like a little zucchini. What I am growing it for, however, is to turn it into the dishcloth Luffa. I will let it dry out. Here are the seeds. They're nice, good, plump, healthy seed. Sometimes they're white, sometimes they're black. I don't know why. I have both kinds. But today I'm planting black. And again, you want to put this seed down far enough to cover it up. And I'm going to put it down and cover it up, like, again, just 1/4 of an inch. I know it's black, so you can't really see it. With Luffa and with peppers, they both need to go on heat mats. They need to stay warm, especially your loofah. They need to be coddled and babied. They love the heat. And so in the Pacific Northwest, we don't have heat until July. So keep them as warm as possible. I will not transplant this out into the garden until well into June. It will be probably amongst my last plantings, and it will be just growing profusely. So it should be root bound in this cup. It should have lots of green, viney leaves on it, and that's all good. And I'm hoping that it will outgrow the cup, but I wanted to start with a bigger size, just so that it has lots of room and lots of time to grow. All right, so there is your loofah. Oh, did I write the name loofah on that cup? I did not. Make sure you mark your cups with what they are. Oh my goodness sakes alive. Loofah. Make sure you mark it, because as much as we think we're going to remember what we've planted, we don't. We have lots of seeds going in at this time and later, and I would recognize this once it's sprouted, but let's make sure we mark it with our felt marker or a plant stake. Let me show you a plant stake I use. Again, trying to recycle as much as possible. Here is just a plastic knife from my basil from last year. So let's pretend this is basil, then I can just stick the knife in there. And I may do that. I'll just get another knife. I could turn it around and just write loofah on there, and that tells me what's in this cup. And of course your pepper plants all look the same until your fruit grows out of them. So you want to keep them labeled as well. I think that's about it for seed starting. Be creative. Think of different containers you can use other than going and buying trays and plastic liners. Of course you can. That's not a problem except financially. So I'm just trying to give you some positive alternatives to use to get you started. I hope this helps you. I hope you look forward to the growing season for this year and seeing the miracle in the garden of fabulous, fresh, wonderful fruits and vegetables. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.